Imagine confessing your sins to a priest, only to find out he just unalived 57 people, and you might be next. Or finding out the leader of your church went home after service, unalived a woman, and did things to her dead body that would make the director of Saw uncomfortable. Yeah, these crimes actually happened, and in some cases, they went on for years. These men of the cloth we about to talk about today were actually serial killers. In the 1800s, Catholic priests weren't just religious leaders. They were authority figures, educators, and moral judges. Juan Severino Mallari was one of them. By all outward appearances, Mallari was devoted, intelligent, and deeply spiritual. He studied theology. He preached discipline and sacrifice, and for most people in the village, he was trusted without question. But privately, Mallari became obsessed with the belief that would push him beyond reality. He became convinced that evil spirits were draining the life force from his mother, and that the only way to stop them was to replace her stolen years with stolen years from another life. This was not a metaphor. This wasn't symbolism. This priest believed murder was the medicine he needed for his mother. Over time, people began disappearing. Locals and travelers who had last been seen speaking with the priest would never be seen again. His method wasn't always the same, but the deaths followed a pattern. He lured them in with kindness, isolated them, and killed them quickly and quietly. Then he buried or hid the bodies and evidence. And the craziest part is, he believed every killing was an act of love to his dying mother. But eventually, suspicion became unavoidable. Authorities found physical evidence, then eyewitnesses came forward, and Mallari confessed. Historians estimate he murdered between 50 and 60 people, making him not only a priest turned killer, but the first documented serial killer in Philippine history. In 1840, Mallari was executed. And after all of that, his mother still died shortly after. Then there's Hans Schmidt. Hans Schmidt arrived in America from Germany, carrying a thick accent, sharp intellect, and a dangerous delusion. Schmidt didn't just believe in God. He believed God spoke directly to him, and that he was above ordinary mortality. Stationed in New York City, Schmidt quickly developed a reputation for erratic behavior. He claimed to have mystical visions, practiced secret rituals, and spoke obsessively about divine authority. Behind closed doors, Schmidt entered a secret relationship with a young woman named Anna, convincing her that they were spiritually married by God himself. But when Anna began questioning him and threatening to expose the truth, Schmidt snapped. He murdered her in his apartment, drained her blood, dismembered and essayed her body, and disposed of her remains in the Hudson River. After a few days, body parts started floating up to locals, and it didn't take long for the trail to lead back to Hans Schmidt. They raided his home and found bloodstains and the murder weapon. When police arrested him, Schmidt didn't deny it. Instead, he calmly stated, "God commanded me." During his trial, Schmidt displayed no remorse. Psychiatrists describe him as suffering from severe delusions of grandeur and religious psychosis. He was also accused of the murder of a young girl who attended his church after another man had already been accused of the crime. In 1916, Hans Schmidt was executed at Sing Sing prison, becoming the first Catholic priest executed in U.S. history. All the way up until the time of his death, he believed he was holy. Then there's Gerald Robinson. He wasn't technically a serial killer, but give me a minute and you'll see why he deserves the honorable mention. On April 5th, 1980, Sister Margaret Ann Paul, a 71-year-old nun, was found dead inside the chapel of Mercy Hospital in Toledo, Ohio. She had been stabbed repeatedly. Religious symbols were oddly placed around her body, clearly with some sort of intention. A message referring to Easter had been left as well. It didn't take Sherlock Holmes to see that this wasn't a random act of violence. It was a ritual. At first, investigators were overwhelmed by the amount of symbolism. The crime looked ceremonial, almost theatrical. Rumors spread of cult activity or satanic influence. But one detail stood out. Sister Margaret had last been seen with Father Gerald Robinson. Robinson was a Catholic priest who worked closely with her. They had a tense relationship too. Witnesses later described Robinson as controlling, volatile, and deeply manipulative. Yet suspicion faded. Why? Because Robinson is a priest. The case went cold, and for nearly 3 decades, Sister Margaret's murder went unsolved, buried under silence, fear, and institutional protection. Then in the early 2000s, cold case investigators reopened the file. New forensic evidence provided some new information. The wounds were consistent with a unique ceremonial dagger. And guess who owned such a dagger? Father Gerald Robinson did. His behavior before and after the murder raised red flags long ignored, but not forgotten. In 2006, 26 years after the killing, Father Gerald Robinson was arrested. During trial, prosecutors argued that Robinson murdered Sister Margaret during a moment of rage, then staged the scene using religious imagery to confuse investigators and divert suspicion. In 2007, Robinson was convicted of murder. He was sentenced to life in prison and died behind bars in 2014. Justice came late, but it came. In this world, good and evil isn't always black and white. These men didn't look like monsters to their congregation. They looked like men of God. But history teaches us something that might be hard to swallow. Evil doesn't always reject religion or God's name. Sometimes it uses it too. But that's gonna do it for today's episode. I'm Quality. Make sure y'all like the video and subscribe to the No Lodge, cause we will be dropping gems for y'all on a regular basis, alright? Till next time. Peace.